I want to talk to you about some dark truths. And a lot of these people, girls and guys, are my clients. And what I want to share with you today is that often the perception that we have of million-dollar agents and the reality don't match up. I'm going to say to you that tonight you're going to hear things that you might think, wow. You'll think to yourself, I wouldn't have thought Tom would have said something like that. But as you all know, my deal, my brand, my business model is about raw and the truth. Because I believe when you know exactly where you are, see, if you're lost, think about it. If you're lost and you can say, hey, I'm lost here. I'm lost on the intersection of Platts Avenue and Canterbury Road. If you can actually say that to someone, for instance, the NRMA, to come over and, get your battery jump started again, unless you can actually tell the truth on where you are now, you can't actually solve the problem. So the truth is actually critical if you're going to move forward. So here are 9 things million-dollar agents do in private, think in private, but don't say in public. The first one you might be vaguely familiar with. So the first one is this. They don't write the $1 million or the $2 million or the $3 million or the $4 million or the $8 million themselves. No. They don't write that themselves. They, in fact, may claim the figures. They, in fact, may put in awards. They, in fact, might actually get the accolades. They might, in fact, tell people, these are my numbers. But in fact, the numbers are a culmination of the efforts of people in a team. Now, this team often will include both income producers and not income producers. It will include people that actually are admin people that aren't producing income, but it'll also potentially include people that are known as associate agents, that in their own right, they list and sell real estate and often write 300, 400 in GCI. And that money is then fed through the figures of the lead agent. And in models where people are often writing in excess of $5 million, if you actually do a dissection and a deep dive, you'll actually see that the numbers are actually done by numbers of associates. Having said that, the main agent is still most likely writing the most. And that main agent is acting as a mentor, coach, support person to these associate agents. And often these associate agents are using data and current listings of the lead agent to actually write figures, because the lead agent has decided that they're going to open up their database and say, go for it. Ring who you want. You can actually do some of the callbacks on certain properties, and I'll actually give you the lower price range listings so you can work on those. So the first thing I want you to understand, if you are an agent that's writing significantly lower than $1 million, you need to take the narrative out of your head that you can't do it. You can do it. But I've never seen a super agent without an epic team. And please, don't take this as being me having a crack at multi-million-dollar agents. No, not at all. I applaud them, because these people learnt the bigger the dream, the bigger the team. These people often have made the decision that they won't go off and actually open up an office themselves, and they'll stay as a sales producer and build the same sales team. But what makes these people special is that they've learned the art of both being a hunter and a deal maker, but at the same time, they have evolved to learn how to manage people, recruit people, how to actually ensure that people do their job, how to actually grow people. And that is the reason, my friends, that they write the big numbers, because it's we, not I. So if you're an agent writing under $300,000 GCI now, I'm letting you know, the goal is not as hard as what you think. That's if you want to go down that path, because I know plenty of agents that have basically said, hey, give me one admin person and myself, and I'm happy there. I don't want to stretch myself beyond that. And that's fine if that's where you're at. So that's the first one. They don't write the numbers. Please understand that. Number two, they cut fees. They cut fees. Yes, they do. They discount when they want to. When they want to. When they want a listing and that vendor appears to not relent and does not see the value in the higher fee, they often will reduce their fee. And they say that to me in private. And they particularly say it to me in private in the early part of their career, when they don't have brand and eminence in the marketplace. They actually turn around and do what needs to be done. Now, I'm not going to say to you who does what, but I am going to say to you, don't fall into the trap of believing every agent that says, no, I've never cut my fees. Mate, I've got to tell you, I have never, ever met anyone who has not cut their fees. Now, that doesn't mean that you should be cutting your fees. Not at all. In fact, I actually urge people to become a value-added provider. Show more, do more, give more. And what you want to do is move away from being a commodity. A commodity is when you're exactly the same as everyone else. And when you're exactly the same as everyone else and people can't pick the difference, what they'll do is they'll look for something. And all I can say to you is often the thing that they'll look at is fee. Often people turn around and say, oh, well, he's average, she's average, he was average, 3 average agents. I'll pick the cheapest of the average. So don't be average, right? Don't be average. Number 2, don't fall into the trap that every vendor just wants to pay the lowest fee. If everyone wanted the cheapest, I would suggest that everyone would be staying in a Formula One motel, and everyone would be driving a Kia, and everyone would be flying Tiger Airways. But that, in fact, is not real life. There are people that fly business class with Panos. There are people that would stay at the Palazzo Versace, and there are people that are driving Maseratis. So people don't always go for the cheapest. So one of your jobs in real estate, and if you haven't seen last week's Sunday Night Rant, may I refer you to watch it, is to become good at showing what Warren Buffett says this. People pay you a fee, but it is value that they get back. People will pay you a fee, but it is value that they get back. So what that means is provide and show more value. And as some person that has commented here has basically said, well, Purple Bricks model did not work in Australia. Good observation. So number 2 is they cut their fees when they have to, and the good ones don't do it regularly. But I've got to say to you, I know a lot of real estate agents who smash it now, got big teams, right, big money, and they say to me, you know, Tom, in the early stages, we had to accept, as Panos said, commercial reality, and we had to do what we had to do to actually get boards up, you know, to get marketing up, to actually get in the game. Once you're in the game, you get listings that bring more listings. Think about it. Even the airlines go off and they give you discounted tickets at the start just to get you to start joining them. But I'm not saying you should be doing that as your long-term strategy. What I'm saying to you is don't miss out on business if you want it. Number 3. This is going to shock people. Everyone thinks that these multi-million-dollar riders must have the systems of McDonald's in their business and that they are super organized themselves and they're process driven and everything's a checklist. Well, my experience is that there's a hell of a lot of them that aren't at all. That in fact, they're as chaotic as what you may be. Chaotic. And I'm talking about order here, chaos here. They are in the chaos order, right? I've got to say to you, there's plenty of them. However, having said that, they're intelligent enough to have invested money in a salary and they call that person a manager, admin, PA, coordinator, call it what you like. But the bottom line is they're picking up the pieces from the trail of destruction that has been left behind, right? That's what they're doing, right? That's what they're doing. They've actually got someone who's a rock behind them. And even they continue to be disorganized. The system gets by. The system gets by because there's someone strong there. So here's my advice. My advice in the ideal world, is you'd want to be high EQ, high energy, right? That sales soft part, but you also want to be really good at process, organization, and order. But it's not easy because as personality profiles show, it's really, really hard to score good in both. But what you can do is get better. And number two, start using technology that does a lot of the thinking, right? Technology now, we're very fortunate that technology does a lot of our thinking. So what I would suggest right now is if you're the sort of person that's sitting there and says, "Oh, Tommy, I just got to get myself organized and processed. I got to do that because, you know, it's not me." I got to tell you, it's not most people, right? But start where you're at. Start where you're at. Just start where you're at. And where that basically means, it might mean just start a damn ideal week with just 4 or 5 simple things there that are repeatable, predictable, and scalable. And then find a person and say, "Listen, you're the project manager of this. This is your baby, right? You're responsible for this." And what's going to happen is that you're going to help me make sure that we sort of nail this, right? So I'm just thinking of, you know, a simple one is that what you do is every morning with your PA, you have a work in progress meeting. So there's a system in itself that we've got a morning daily huddle. That's your first system. Then we bring in our second system, and let's call our second system our prospecting system. And that basically means that it's really simple. There are no appointments that go into your diary before 11 a.m. And then we've got that system. And then we've got an expired listing system. And basically what that is, that every Tuesday between, 11 and 1, that you call that chasing expired listings. So you go to CoreLogic RP Data, you look at the 60-day tab, and you look at there, and then you ring up and say, "Hey, it's Tom Panos here from XY Real Estate. How open-minded would you be to sit with me for 5 minutes where I can go through how we've been selling properties in 72 hours that others have had on the books for 3 months." Bang, there's another system. We know that that's going to be done from Tuesdays 11 to 1. Then on Friday, we have another system, and it's called getting buyers to go to our opens. So you block off 2 hours off your diary on a Friday afternoon, and you refer buyers to your properties, because don't rely on the market to do that as good as it has been for the last few months, because that's eased a little bit as well. It's still hot, don't get me wrong, still good, market's great, but what we're talking about is that you're going to sort of give it a little bit of a nudge or a tickle, right? So I just want you to know, if you're watching this video right here, right now, feel comfortable about not being born genetically out of your mum's stomach as a born process-driven person. A lot of the good ones aren't. But they sort of get better, and they have people that help them. Number 4. I want to let you know, they might look good on the outside. They might say the right stuff. But I'm telling you, often the good ones they've got insecurities, doubts, deficiencies. Often these insecurities happened at an early age. These deficits, in fact, became drivers, right? These deficits became drivers. They may have been picked on because they were short. They may have been picked on because they were fat. They may have had this inferiority complex because they were the poorest kid in the school. And these things ended up becoming their drivers of making them become successful. So I want to let you know that's the next one. A lot of the good ones are actually got doubts and insecurities, and they do have a voice inside of their head, right? So I want to let you know, I'm sharing this with you. Hey, Trish, he's feeling attacked. You're a big writer, and I'm sure that you can relate to a lot of the things that I'm talking about. But the point that we're making is this, guys and girls. I want you to understand they're no different. They're no different to you if you're not at that level right now. I want you to understand. Barbara Corcoran said it in the ARIC in 2019. Incredible conversation I had with her on the live stream. She talked about it. She talked about the big writers rocking up on January 1. Rocking up and sitting there waiting to go see her and say, Barbara, I'm scared this year. I don't think I can write another $3 million next year. And she'd say, but why? You've done that for 5 years in a row. And they say, oh, I don't know. I think I've just been lucky. It was a fluke. Guys and girls, I'm letting you know, this is normal. It is normal to have insecurity. It's normal to have doubts. So that's the next one. Number 5. Hello, Bernard. Your house is looking good. I'm following its construction. Number 5. They have vices. They have vices. What do I mean by that? Little things that get them an escape from sometimes the hard work and suffering of real estate. Because I've got to tell you, it's often not easy as a person in real estate to start the month with zero and have a gun pointing to your head saying, hunt, go out and list or you won't eat. Right? It's not easy. A barista doesn't have to do that. School teacher doesn't have to do that. Right? But we've got to do that in real estate. It's a commission-based job. We've got a gun at our head. Hunt or you won't eat. So they've got vices. It helps them escape. Some of these vices aren't good. Some of them are okay. Some vices, some of them love buying watches, right? They love buying watches. They'll go and spend $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 on a watch, right? Not a bad habit, I suppose. You can sell those. You can sell those watches, right? You can sell them. You can get your money back. Mark Sully tells me he can sell his watches and he gets his money back. I know plenty of agents. Guy Lorello loves his watches. But then there's other vices. And those vices include, spoken about that before. Yeah. Helps them prospect. Gives them a bit of a bump. Others, it's booze. It's booze. They numb themselves with a bottle of wine when they come home from work. They numb themselves. For others, it's sex. Both moral and immoral. Porn. The punt. Addictions left, right and center. I see it. I see it in real estate. They have vices. I'm sharing this with you because I want you to understand. If you can relate to what I'm talking about, you're not abnormal. It appears that there are others in that category and others that you often view as being the elite. I'm letting you know there's not much difference. Guys and girls, let me move on to the next one, number 6. This one's important. They won't talk about this, but I've got to tell you, they become desensitized a little bit to emotion. You see, when you're a big writer of real estate and you've been doing it a while, my friends, here's what happens. You see a lot of suffering with the clients you serve. You see people going bankrupt. You see people dying. You see people separating. You see people that are in absolute difficult situations. And these people say to you, listen, please help us. We need to get this price. And often this price is a price they need, but it is a value that's not market value. And what it needs is someone to sort of sit there and not take and personalize all that emotion. I'm not saying be a sledgehammer. I'm not saying be cold. But what I'm saying is you've got to understand your job is not to become a psychotherapist. Your job is to be an agent, to get them from stuck to unstuck. And that doesn't basically mean that you try and rescue them from their other non-real estate problems, which is often what people do. It's often people get sucked into a vendor that says, listen, it's just the best house in the whole world. And you start believing that this property that's only worth $800,000 is worth 1.1 because you get sold emotionally by that vendor. Hey, get your rest of your team to come in and tell you what that property is worth. Because you, my friends, are too emotionally involved if you're a person that has not learnt how to have a business arm-length relationship with a client. Now, I'm not saying that means that you're a bad person. What I'm saying is you swim in your lane. Your main job is to be a heavy hitter in real estate and get stuff sold for good prices at decent times. Not much else. Let me move on. So what does number 6 mean? Number 6 means you can't personalize too much emotion and rejection. And I think the good ones won't say it, but I see they've got this bubble that's been built outside them so they can go through transaction, and they don't have insomnia worried about this person's situation. Because insomnia ain't going to help you list and sell the next day. Remember that. You need a decent night's sleep. Number seven. This is going to be weird, but I think the good ones realized that somewhere along the line, they had a bit of luck. Correct. Luck matters. Bill Gates. Ask Bill Gates. Bill Gates will tell you he thinks luck matters. Bill Gates, my friend, says this: if I hadn't gone to a school that had a computer, I probably would not have ended up the path I did. You see, Bill Gates went to the only school in an area that had a computer. So I believe luck does matter. Often I believe where people end up working in terms of the location that they choose to work from, the area, ends up becoming, you end up working in a great spot and you end up working at a great office. And I've got to tell you, that's a good start. That's a good start. I know many real estate agents that are where they are today because circumstances said that they ended up working at this brand for this mentor, this principal, and they were decent people. I've also met people that ended up working for bad people. But what they did is with initiative, they then moved on. So I'm not saying luck's the only thing. And to the person that's watching this, that says, no, Tom, that's not true. You've got free will. It's got nothing to do with luck. Think about this for a moment. Today, there was a girl born with HIV in Ethiopia. Don't tell me she won the birth lottery. Accept it. And if you're watching this video right now, chances are you won the birth lottery, at least with health and the country that you're at. Number eight. Thank you, Amit. you agree with me. Because you know what life has been like. You know what life's like in India. Right now, 350,000 people a day copying COVID. 6,000 a day dying. We're in heaven, guys. Number 8. The next one is this. They won't tell it to you publicly, but they think about it privately. And I've got to say to you, my friends, they realize they don't have a long life cycle as a big writer in real estate. Who do you know that was crushing it in real estate 20, 30 years ago that's still crushing it today? Who do you know that was writing millions in 2000 that's writing it in 2021? Not many. Because it's emotionally and physically draining. There's a few, but I've got to tell you, often those few have had circumstances in life which have basically meant, hey, I've got to do this again. I've got no choice. Often it has been a family breakup. Often it has been, some bad luck somewhere along the line with something to do financial, a development, a business interest. So it's not an option. It's forced them. And let's face it, they're not playing first grade footy, so they've got to actually find something that they can do. And real estate is a license to print money if you know what to do, and you've got a reason to do it. And for many of these people, the reason is there. Financial reasons cause them to actually have to do it. But there's some great guys and girls that are still in real estate. One of my close mates, Matty Steinwade, who I still say to this day is arguably the best practicing real estate agent that I know. Been doing it a long time. And the last thing, guys and girls, is this. They won't say this to you publicly, but I can tell you privately. Overall, their life is easier than a non-million-dollar agent. That's right. Do you think a $1 million agent is working twice as hard as a $500,000 agent? No. You see, there's a tipping point in real estate where in your marketplace, you actually get a seat at the table for most listing presentations. You see, there comes a time when you've earned the right to be on the shopping list. And when you've earned the right to be on the shopping list, and you've got lots of reviews that are sitting on the portals, and other people talk about you in the market because you've been there for a while, you often are getting listings that are coming into you versus listings that you have to reach out to all the time. And as I've said, it is so much easier to go from 1 million to 2 million in GCI than from 500 to 1 million. And I got to tell you, it's not that easy from going from 250 to 500. It's easier to go from 1 million to 2 million. You see, when you've got listings and you've got presence, you are not on the runway anymore. You're off the tarmac. Yes, Lisa, I got a blue tick. Instagram and Facebook decided to give Tom Panos the tick to say he's okay. And that basically means that people can't impersonate me anymore because the blue tick will tell people, guess what? That's not the real Tom. So I'm very, very happy to be verified. And I've got to say to you that I think it's, listen, I'm not a person that when I was at school needed to get a star from the school teacher to feel good. But what I will say to you in a world of congestion, which we have on social media, the verification tick is another thing that stops someone and says, well, let's stop here, right? Because someone along the line thinks that their content is okay and others want to impersonate. So let's have a look. So you get another opportunity to build your audience. And by the way, guys and girls, as you'll read across news outlets this week, the most viewed auction ever in the history of real estate in Australia, with 2.5 million views on Facebook alone last week. 2.5 million views alone. Hey, Nikki Musa, great work the other day. 2.5 million views. One property on a mobile phone that I handed to a young person to hold the phone. And I've got to tell you, the amount of people sending emails, text messages, DMs for me to even sell their properties, I just never expected. Susan says that post reached 4 million people. And I'm very proud of our numbers. And I've got to tell you, you can get every trade journal in Australia. You could get every real estate trainer. You add them all up. Our engagement absolutely blitzes everyone. And that's why we've got companies that want to sit with us. They're happy that I don't swear anymore. And big shout out to those companies. Secure Exchange, Before You Bid, Agent Box, Campaign Agent, all great people that I work with. News, REA. Susan, I don't think I've missed anyone. They're all, if you look at them, they're all the best products of the lot. And of course, Real Hub with their product Engage, which I believe is the best pre-list and price check document there is. Anyway, guys and girls, number nine, my friends, is life is easier when you're riding the money. Luke says, swearing is just not you, Tommy. Yeah, well, I got to tell you, everything's a habit, became habitual. I swear on the inside. Guys and girls, Agent Box, not Agent Bix, Susan, Agent Box. So guys and girls, I'm going to finish off here, and I'm just going to let everyone know that if you watch this rant tonight, you're probably a lot closer to being the person that you thought you've got to be $1 million agent. I think that most people underestimate themselves. I really do. I think that most people, in fact, are only a short distance away from actually taking their business to the next level. Real estate gym members, watch out. 2 courses coming. Hey, Connie. She's everywhere at the moment. 2 courses coming, and they are the 29 ways to get listings. That's about to drop into the real estate gym, and the ultimate listing presentation. That's about to drop into the real estate gym. And of course, there's still hundreds and hundreds of hours of content in there. By the way, Tuesday afternoon, Real Estate Gym members, we have our live Facebook on Real Estate Gym page only, where we go through a topic and I answer all my members' questions. See you then. And guys and girls, if you enjoyed this rant, please press that share button. Press that share button. That means the world. Signing off. Have a great week. And remember, the comeback is always bigger than the setback. Get ready. It's your time.